The following is a presentation of iRacing PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
Whatever you drive,
About a year or so ago, we once held the eCAR late model stock series here on the channel, and what time for a revival. We finally come back with another season of short track action heading across the most famous short tracks across North America in the car's late model stock tour. And today we find ourselves on the West Coast in Bakersfield here at the Kern County Raceway Park, presented by Kevin Harvick, so to speak. Welcome everyone back to PTR TV for a short track series. We haven't covered one of these in a long time, and certainly looking forward to it. It is the eCAR Late Models presented by Precision Spotting. Race number 180 laps here around Kern County. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth, and in the production truck, got Howie Burrows here to help out with the calls. Howie, you have told me quite liberally that you love this racetrack, had some good memories here in the past, and be interesting to see what about 20 late models can do here tonight.
Need to let you know not to be scared of the British accent, including all those at home. I do obsess over my short track racing sometimes. I've become more familiar with this in some more inappropriate cars with a little bit more power. These are the sort of things that really should be running here. This track, nice and wide, heavily banked. You get high speeds, and you have that unique uphill, downhill climb off the turns coming in. It's a very fun way to start the season, and with some heavy winds and not even the hottest track in the world for South California. Everyone's going to have a shot here today.
Yeah, taking a look at our wind, and you can see the palm trees in the background. I'll tell you, in practice, upon me joining the session, they were, you would have thought that a hurricane was coming through, which is pretty rare for this part of California, but it's a 25 miles an hour wind out of the north. I will be the first to tell you that I don't know geographically where north is in pertaining to this racetrack, but that will certainly affect the handling at some portion of the racetrack, and this is an open setup league, so hopefully those drivers figured that out and were able to make any necessary adjustments.
I believe if it's coming from the north and going down south, it should be going against one of the straights rather than the turns. So through the turns you can get a little bit uneven around here. I do love these super late models. I tried to do the whole super late model tour season. I've actually got a little bit more obsessed with the modifieds, but these things definitely know how to race. They've got that slip in them. They can get very, very aggressive. And we have a very, very skilled and varied field. Just over 20 cars have signed up here today, so we're going to see a little bit of everything, and 80 laps is going to fly around in a heartbeat.
Yes, it will. I do have to make a little correction to you there, Howie. It is the late model stock here, so a little bit of the power taken out of them, which, well, you say boo?
I said, I love it with my mega power, but I'll take them when they're going a little slower too, you know?
Yeah, this is certainly a little bit less power, which at a track like this, they're going to really have to make sure the gearing is proper in their automobiles, because they will be hitting the chip more than a can of Pringles here if they have those gears tuned improperly here. But warm up there, as you can see on the top left of your screen, about to end. You can see a slideshow of sponsors on the top right of your screen. Take a look at them and check them out, as they will all help put together this eCAR late model stock series. But Make sure you join, like, share, comment, subscribe here on PTR TV as we look to get 1,900 and on our way to 2,000 subscribers, the next milestone. Need a little bit of help from you. If you're new to the channel, do us a favor and check that out. But as that timer clicks on down, Howie, let's do things a little bit backwards here today. I'll have you head down and start us off here with our starting lineup here today.
Hopefully we won't be doing the grid backwards as well while we're here. Chris Horton lines up in the 42 on P1. Next to William Keck in the 19. Nathan Rhew is in P3 next to Brent McKays. Stephen Rex is in 5th on the 3rd row next to Travin Sokup. And Jack Freed in 7th next to Dylan Winters. Another Jack McKee out there in 9th. And then Colt Huff will join alongside the 5th row.
All right, then we head back to the back end of the field. 21 cars strong. Jeff Williams and Brad Carpenter there in the number 12 spot. Row number 6. Row 13 finds Bryce. We did not get any name enunciations prior to the race, so Bryce, I'm just going to call you Bryce, with Spencer Teal in 14th, Eric Hudson in 15th, Scott Mayhew Jr. in 16th, Chris Norris 17th, John Gutekunst. I only know that because we did cover these guys 2 years ago. Gutekunst, I believe that is, but I'll probably get corrected later. Jonathan Golden 19th, Aaron Harden in 20th, and then the caboose here today will be the Canadian of Dave Bishiner I'm going to go with. So if we don't know your name, we're just going to call you by the first one. Try to do right by as many drivers here as possible. The race details here on PTR TV. 80 laps around. This is, as we said, open set-up series. Full fuel load, and even if the caution comes out, ain't no tires to be changed.
I mean, let me help you. I think it's Deguevara and what was the other one? John Gutekunst? I'm going to go with John Gutekunst. We'll go with that one as we line up 2 laps of green around here, but they, again, will fly. And so will 80 laps of green flag racing. You know, might not stay green for the whole length, but 80 is a much smaller number on a track like this.
Yeah, we have our little back-end estimator tools, and it's telling me if this thing goes green, we're going to be done in about 24 minutes here, so certainly will be a quick race. There will be some other races here on the season that are a little bit more extended distance, so perhaps next week at Langley, I think we're going to be doing almost 200 laps around there, so should be a little bit longer. A couple longer distance races mixed in with some shorter ones gives you a good dynamic here on a late model stock schedule. But Chris Horton, will he hear a who in victory lane? He did quite well in our last coverage of this series in his Lexus, so to speak. Let's see what he can muster here today. Another season, 2025 eCars. Let's go green from Kern County. Heading off into turn number 1 and 2. They're going to still be side by side, 19 and the 42. That's going to be Keck, and that is going to be Chris Horton there. Here we come off of the first lap complete. They're going to be side by side. I don't know which lane is going to persevere here at this racetrack, Howie.
There were some signs of drivers quite comfortably making 3 wide a few rows back, and you feel like there'd still be space to go further up to add more, although probably after that 3rd car, even with progressive banking of 2 degrees higher up in there, you probably lose all your speed, and those marbles are going to build very, very quick. That 19 finally lost out in the side-by-side battle. I think you're going to want to target that bottom, but there's more momentum than you'd expect if you can hang it up on that middle.
Yeah, and then we'll see what happens, of course, over the course of the event with that outer lane and whether that comes in. Where is the tire situation going to come into play here as they come on through? And well, we have comers and goers. Jack Freed there in that number 10 car, excuse me, down to the inside. I am working on the back end, some beta version of our back end software. It was working in practice, and now it's not working here in this session. So try to get the bottom half, the bottom 6 drivers on the screen, but either way, some good side-by-side. Brent Mekas to the outside of the racetrack, and the Haviland car of Jack McKee trying to fill the gap in there as we're side-by-side for the lead once more.
It looks as if that 19 was able to get back up in there and get down onto the inside this time. Sends it in very, very deep and might just wash up on exit right in Chris Horton's way. This top three has separated out a bit. The pack since come in closer. It did go down to half a second. Now they've sort of compressed up again, but that might just have to be how you get someone overtaking the corner. Nathan Rhew might just look and think, I'm going to have to do the same thing now. Just throw it up the inside and hope they check out by the middle.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there as I get a side-by-side move on in here. As Scott said, you might have to make that aggressive move, this kind of track. And as a racer, Howie, these tracks that have the long-term side-by-side, it's fun, it's good racing for the fans, but it also can be frustrating for the drivers because when you're stuck side-by-side, you're burning the tires, you're losing patience, you can't complete the pass, and that costs you opportunities to gain further positions in front of you.
It's sort of part of the natural result of building these big, banked, quite smooth, short tracks is that you're going to encourage the multi-lane racing. And it can be frustrating on those tracks where you can run side by side, but also you can't necessarily actually, go even on speed. One's always going to be faster than the other, and then you have to get a little bit bolder to get in and around. So we might have to see some tensions flare up as time goes on. They're side by side for fifth and third, actually. They're starting to pick it back up again.
Yes, they are. That number 88, Nathan Rhew, Chris Horton there. If not mistaken, I want to say Chris Horton, a prior champion here in the league in the series that we covered about maybe late 2023, if memory does serve. But he's going side by side again. Back into the ticker, probably not going to have it here tonight, folks. Chris Norris, Eric Hudson, Jonathan Golden, Dylan Winters, our league owner, and Spencer Teal. I don't want to change the broadcast up too much, turning things on and off here, but for some reason that's not showing up. I will probably do some diagnostics after the race because it was working earlier this morning. But Stephen Rex losing some grip off turn number 2. Here comes Jack Free in the 10, diving it on in there. You can see the jaws on that number 6 of Rex, and he's making that outside work. And then behind that, Mecca is trying to figure out what way to persevere.
Any above those stripes, and I think you enter Marble City and you lose all grip, and these cars are slowly going to get worse and worse and worse. Those will get cleaned up under caution, but not quite yet, as Rex does seem a little bit faster now. Now, I thought maybe he lost it after he went a little bit too wide. It turns out he's gotten right back into it. Further up, Nathan Rhew and Chris Horton going side by side again. I think we might be seeing this lead battle change up a bit as our first lapped car enters the fray.
A lap car of, who is that? That's going to be the number 2 of Spencer Teal. And, he's going to run that outside lane, but a lot of drivers have been running that outside lane. So that might actually, affect some of the side-by-side battling. But the number 19 of Keck goes to the inside. And if I know anything about Horton, and obviously you don't, Howard, because this is race number 1 for you, Horton is one of those drivers, albeit he is, I believe, on the younger end of the spectrum, 18 years of age. Races with a high level of maturity and a lot of patience, so there is going to be some tire fall off, some tire dead, grip loss, and I wouldn't be surprised if Horton's just hanging around and waiting for the later stages of the race.
I don't get to do it too much due to my time zone, but if you race on the prime times of these late model and modified short track series, you'll often actually end up getting people that do it in real life, and they're often really young on the mic. I've heard what must have been a 13-year-old who was absolutely the fastest and absolutely giving everyone tips because he drives his dad's every week. And I was like, come on, this is what you guys get up to in America. I'd love to do much of the same. We're a little bit different over here. But yeah, you get some really young superstar drivers up here. We're seeing 3 wide further in the back of the field, by the way. It's a round Colt Huff. They backed it out again, but I mean, it definitely feels like it's not an emergency squeeze. It's not fast to do 3 wide, and that's why people aren't doing it. But it's not like someone's going to die. I think these cars, not super, are actually stable enough to race each other like this.
Yeah, that's the thing with these late models, getting the lack of grip. Even though you might get a little bit loose on corner exit, you're not going to break too much traction here. And this track, I think you were just in the Wikipedia there, Howie. You may know a little bit more about the construction details, but just looking at its surface level here, quite literally, the pavement not too degraded here, not too bumpy. So I think there's a fair amount of grip to go around here. So that'll certainly help with the stability in making these passes.
a very, very modern track nowadays, and it's as I was mentioning at the beginning of the broadcast, it's interesting that effectively turns 1 and 2 go uphill, and then turns 3 and 4 go downhill. Sets people in the stands see the back. There's a spinner. Stephen Rex has been sent around. Enough for my anecdotes. His car's in one piece, but he is going to be sent to the back and have to fight his way up after doing quite well this race.
And take a look at our PTR TV replay. That's Brent Mekas to his arrears. Let's see if there was any help. No, he was loose on his own. Mekas did nothing, and because of all the real estate down there, he was able to get that sorted. No harm, no foul. Just a bunch of track position lost, and our first... Well, actually, the leaders came through there. That second pack, that was almost chaotic, but... Either way, first caution of the race, and again, no need for pit stops, plenty of fuel, there's no tires, so just it puts another cycle on those tires, Howie. The heat goes away. Sometimes as those tires cool down, your next stint sometimes handles a little bit different.
I mean, you do say that. Rex is going for a pit stop, and I'm curious to what the game is here, because you'll definitely lose a lap even under yellow going for this if... unless there's a really good reason to. One thing I noticed on the replay is just the scale of the marbles on the exit on some of these. I thought they got cleared on a caution. Maybe I was actually wrong about this, but you can just see that anything above those lines is an absolute no man's land. And if you want to absolutely ruin somebody's day, you could force them up there just a little bit, try and send too many cars. It's best to see out of 1 and 2 down that back stretch. Maybe they get cleared around this phase, but it was that sort of replay camera. There's a few. There's a few. That is what we call not good track.
Yep, even on the apron, some of that. So if you do take a pit stop, certainly won't help your causes there with your grip that will avail yourself on that apron on the racetrack. But either way, first caution of the race, 26 laps in. Still have everybody on the lead lap. Dylan Winters did pit as well, 1 second of a pit stop. Rex was in the pits for 4 seconds. And Teal and the 2 seemed to drive through the pits. Those were at least what they're registering there on the back end, but I think we'll get doubled up, stacked up. Yes, 1 to go. And we'll see what happens.
Could be impromptu end of line. I believe there was talk in the driver's briefing about cause of caution getting end of line. I presume maybe you can just self-enforce this by taking the tiniest pit stop run.
Perhaps indeed the case there. Good little tidbits of information here as we'll get doubled up, stacked up, ready to go green flag racing for this restart. Lap number 28 on the board, which will be 52 laps to go. Here from Kern County Raceway Park, Keck on the bottom, Rhew to the top in the restart box, and I'll tell you, that's not a bad restart from the top, but look at Horton in the 42 squeezing his way in there for the second spot.
Every restart might be your chance to force it, but that felt a little bit bold. If something bad happens at the front, I don't think anyone quite gets away with it. Now we just have that 88 to sort of tag to the outside. He's very fast on exit though, and he's following Keck's line. Then he sort of just gets held out to dry up here, and it's a little bit less fun. So you get the benefit of running up against that wall, but you just don't quite get it in the turns. And I think over the course of a lap, that has to be slower given the way he's dropping down.
Dropping down indeed as they are side by side. Horton dropping out underneath Rhew, and Rhew is someone not easy to pass. I remember him from the other season as well. A lot of recomers, a lot of returning drivers to this series from the original running about 2 years ago. And our old pal Andre Grandbush here with the channel PTR TV. He is helping with the administrative duties here in this series. Remember, if a lot of issues were to be had last time, and good job already cleaning up some of those here, as it looks as though Horton completes the pass, gets back into that second spot, and 3/10 to go to get to the race leader.
Like, there's something sometimes on short tracks I become a little bit animalistic, and number one, it burns up my tires throughout the entire race. It puts heat into it, I oversend corners. And then number two, sometimes a little bit of raw aggression comes out. I don't know if they'd love me here, but I can tell you that these drivers did a fantastic job of keeping it all together and keeping it respectful. Intensity is going to ramp as the race goes on, of course, as we approach the end, which is rapid because we're already approaching the halfway mark. Bit of a huge gap behind P11, and then there's a big cluster of drivers sending it in there as well. So just all over the track, you have these little groups of drivers that are definitely being patient. Patience could run out eventually.
Yeah, and Horton is doing a really good job up front, trying to make something happen, trying to get that race lead. Looking to the inside, Keck looks like he's running that defensive line to the outside of the racetrack. And that time by went down to the inside. Of course, commentators curse as soon as he does it, as soon as I call it out, as Horton actually having some connectivity issues here. But going a little bit further back, this is the 3 of Bishner and the 08 of Huff. Huff really loose off the wall. You can see some right side damage to that 08 car as the 45 trying to close in. That's Travis Suck up there, trying to squeeze in, trying to fill the gap, but the 45 won't let it happen. And nearly some contact, and there is contact.
And a call of my bad on the mic from Scott Mayhaw Jr. there as he gets up inside another car, and that's his first reaction. Take responsibility. I'm loving the respect already, because sometimes these tracks gonna become a place of anger. You've got to start your season on a good note. Here's our replay on board. I'm trying to... Yeah, just into the side of the car.
Why is he apologizing?
Sort of collected.
It looks like Hudson was the one that got into him, so I'd be surprised if Mayhew was apologizing for that. But either way...
That's what I saw.
Either way, we're glad to see that the drivers are racing with that level of respect here. So that's good always to be had as we go back to the front of the field. And Keck has gotten back into his rhythm here and has pulled away and kept that about 2-car length lead over Horton. Horton trying to do something a little bit different. Saw him enter the corner higher, tried to cut down on exit, get a little bit better run down the straightaway. Now seems like running dead in the tire tracks of Keck. And then to her rears, you can see Rhew. These drivers seem to be running identical laps, if not actually identical laps.
And as ever in oval racing, it's one thing, as ever in all racing, but we'll talk about here as well. It's one thing to run faster laps than someone, but it's another thing to end up right behind them in this little bubble of time where suddenly you have to work out how to get around and past them, and then you're in trouble. I mean, these cars aren't exactly dirty air magnets, so that's not a problem, but still, you've got a big lumbering car to deal with, and they're not going to make it easy, and they're going to take up the space in the way instead. So, you know, it's you can look at lap times to see catching, and then you'll notice just the driver just freezes up right in the rear of somebody else, and then from then it's just a game of chasing and waiting, really.
Yeah, that's exactly the waiting game, and as we are now past halfway, so not as much time to wait, but, you know, 40 laps, it's only 10 minutes of racing, 12 minutes of racing, but, you know, you're only going to have so many more opportunities left as here comes Rhew. Looking to the inside, and you can see the wiggle. You saw the back end of that pseudo Lexus of Horton getting loose. Rhew trying to run a tighter line. 42 of Horton using that now, as we know, progressive banking here at KCRP, as this track is dictated as. And looks like that inside is a little bit better, and that 42 getting a little bit looser and looser each lap.
Horton's leaving too much space on the table, I think, for his position to be completely secure. Eventually, if he leaves that almost a car whip, that's going to be seized upon by an impatient driver with time running out. And you can be respectful, but at the end of the day, you will make a move for a position when the time is right. For many laps, I just see Horton washing up in the middle of the corner and basically leaving a gap for someone more opportunistic to pounce at him.
That gap is, anytime you leave a gap, as you said on these short tracks, it's just a risk. And whoa, holy acrobatics by the 9 of Bryce.
That is someone that we're happy is racing a simulator today. It's the 9 and the 77 777 of Eric Hudson that gets together here on the replay.
Gotta love a right rear hook. Except not really.
I'm going to look at the chopper on my side and see quite who moved where. It's a bit of both people contributing, but it's more of the 9 having a little twitch down the track.
Yeah,
probably not. It's almost like a weird little involuntary twitch, and that's like that.
Yeah, there was plenty of real estate there to be had to the top of the racetrack. Didn't look intentional, just kind of looked like a poor spacing situation from my humble perspective. But either way, puts us under another caution. Now headed sub 30 laps to go.
Even the caution laps fly fast. You know, recently I covered a league race at Talladega, where else? And every time a caution fly, you knew you were losing 6 minutes of your life, just like period, just how mindlessly long these things take. And so it's very nice to be able to get things underway relatively quickly again, just a couple goes around the show. It's one of the things that makes the full-length tours tolerable. It's the fact that you know you're going to have 20 cautions, but they will be over before you could even notice it. William Keck has definitely had the strongest long run, dropped back a little bit at the start of the race, but since he got that lead, he's been able to keep on top of it, and track position has been everything here today. But as I've said, I think patience is going to go thinner and thinner and thinner. Big climbers, Jack Freed and Brad Carpenter started 7th and 12th respectively, dropped down our P4 starter to 6th.
We only have one person out of this, not out of this race, but Bryce. He is the only person that is not on the lead lap for obvious reasons. Again, no fast repair, no backup car, whichever you want to call it, no set of tires, so towing back to the pit, so that is the only driver currently off the track. And then other than that, 19 drivers still on the lead lap, and we'll see what happens here. Again, no sets of tires to be changed here, so whatever you got is what you got. If you burnt it off, you better learn how to suffer through the remaining 30 or so laps of this race. If you like what you see, again, stay tuned. We'll be back live next week for a race at Langley Speedway. That'll be a 200 lapper. Then we're heading to Five Flags, Oxford, and North Wilkesboro, the new version of North Wilkesboro. That'll be our first 5 races of the year, and hope to have you along for the ride with us. But let's see what happens here to restart. Sub 30 laps to go. Can Keck get another one of those restarts, or can Horton bust out and find the lead from the outside? Phenomenal restart from Horton on that outside lane. He might be able to make it happen.
Talk about league culture, by the way. If I didn't hear that wrong, I think I heard 2 drivers disagreeing over whether I was the one that caused that. No, it was me, by the way. So that's how we settle our disagreements on the track. It's a good start from Horton, and this time he is faster. Yet to see someone really make the outside stick, but if anyone's going to on a run, he's going to send it hard and try and get this done here.
Now, if there's one thing on the iRacing service that we tend not to see, is the outside driver be the one to persevere. Contact off of 4 between the 19 and 42. 42 somehow kept it off the wall, even though he was bounced upwards onto the racetrack. They remain side by side, and Rhew not closing in. He's kind of kept that 2-car length buffer between the two of them, and even if he was closer, I don't think he'd know where to go. At the stripe, Horton did get the lap from the outside lane. Inside surges, and here comes the momentum from the 42 on the outside. If they do this long enough, he may be able to clear.
And outside lane's been getting better as the race is going on. It's been more and more excellent corner exits. It's probably not good enough to fully clear without a mistake from the inside, but it's good enough to win if you hold it like this for the entire race, because you're going to be the one leading, crossing the line, reclaiming that pole position. And as the laps count down, Horton's all of a sudden made a spark. He's watches very, very wide, tries a different line entirely, but actually it's even faster. It's good enough to clear.
And I just heard from the onboard, as I said in the opening, hitting the chip like a can of Pringles here, maybe about 100 feet before the line, before the entry to the corner, hitting that chip. These cars are absolutely pegged at maximum velocity, right around 130 miles an hour, 120 or so actually, entering the corners hard on the binders. But Horton voluntarily running that second lane, using that extra banking, and the 19 seeming to follow suit. But look at Rhew painting the white line, trying to find a gap, just didn't have enough momentum to fill it in.
More and more rubbers coming down everywhere on this racing line. I actually don't even think Jack Freed is out of this entirely. Further back, it's become quite the dog pound as I see Brent McMackey is just dropping and dropping and dropping. But I think Jack Freed's close enough now to this chase for the top 4 that if something unusual happens ahead, that's when he can really begin to make his move. Brad Carpenter sort of holding up the rest of this pack and giving Freed the way in. It would be an outside shot, but you cannot discount an outside shot at the end of a short track race.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the run at the outside on a short track. It's the most dangerous thing to do because at the end of a lot of races, and hopefully not here in eCAR, where if you run the outside, you leave the lane open, someone's just going to go full send and treat you like an AI in Gran Turismo and throw you up the track, use you as a brake. We've seen it in seasons past, but hopefully not seeing it this time around. I don't expect that to be the case. You talked about Mekas falling back, doing just that. Dave Bischner looking to the inside. Mekas kisses the wall. Suck up looking to the inside. 41 of Gutekunst to soon follow there, as Mekas is not headed in the proper direction, and he has a whole line of cars just in his mirror.
Did you see Sokop absolutely slide his way out the last corner? That car is unbalanced and it's loose, and it seems to be doing no good for him. See if I can catch the same angle on my end as he comes out through the corner. It's a little better, but at 45 it looks sketchy on exit to me. It looks like he just sort of wants to keep this together and get the car home, which he should be able to do in 5 minutes time. Up front, I think Keck's trying for the inside again. He really slides up in the middle of the corner though into Chris Horton's car.
Yep, he got really high on the track. It did the 42 that opened the door, and now the 19 trying to make it happen. I thought Horton was going to have the extra speed here at the end of the run, but that 19, maybe he saved a little bit in the tank, but he trying to use that inside, just doesn't have the momentum. Horton took the lead on the outside, but Horton's taken the outside, so the only way to pass them is to go where they're not, and that's on that suboptimal inside lane.
This chase of Mervyn near the back is absolute chaos. Every time you look away, it becomes 3 wide again now. It's now that Travis Sokop sort of right in the middle of everything being caused here. So you have rows and rows and rows of 2 wide drivers up at the front. 88 and Nathan Rhew dropping back. That's going to hold up Jack Freed. This has become a 2-horse race again. It seems as if Nathan Rhew has pace at the start of runs and then they just disappear. I don't know if he's overheating that tyres or whether he just sort of gets exhausted after this kind of racing.
Yeah, getting a little bit tired indeed as this race comes into its waning stages. Nearly 10 laps to go. As 6 up the track, that pushes the 41 a little bit higher up the track. This is all just outside of the top 10. And that 45 all the way up in no man's land up here. But Horton, just as I cut away, 3 wide, 66. Looked like he was going to go 3 wide, but backs it on in. Backs into line, and Mekas turns around the 41. Gutekunst around, saves it, but it will throw the caution out.
And now here comes the late race push up front. They're not going to have many laps left to go. I'm keeping an eye on the replay, and the 66 looks like he just washes up high into a car that's definitely there. Little bit of pace difference. I guess he thought, I must be clear. It's just those little small parts of the front of the car that you don't always spot. This is going to be quite the dash to the finish then. I think we're only going to get 7 or 8 laps. I need to work out exactly how many on that pace car. It will probably be 7 laps of racing total. And now everyone's back in this, and especially this top 4, plus maybe David Brancher, who got past Brad Carpenter, who was holding up the pack. That leaves 5 drivers that I think could make a hard charge and will basically stop at nothing to win here.
Absolutely the case here is Bryce, by the way, Bryce in that 9 car has formally retired from the race here, so I think you said about 7 laps ago, probably be accurate how to finish this thing out. Just very quickly do a little through the field, get everyone some camera time if they have not already had some. Horton's had plenty. He's in the first, Keck in second, trying to get it back. We got Nathan Rhew in third, Jack Freed in the 4th spot, Dave Bischner in the 5th position, Brad Carpenter in 6th. We got Jack McKee in 7th, Travis Suckup in the 8th spot. 9th we'll find Steven Rex, and then running out our top 10 is Mr. Brent Mekas. Just to finish things out, Jeff Williams at 11th, Colt Huff in 12th, Dylan Winters, our league owner, in 13th, Eric Hudson in 14th, we got Spencer Teal in 15th, John Gutekunst after that spin, 16th position. Then we have Jonathan Golden, Chris Norris, not Chuck, it's Chris, and Scott Mayhew, shotgun on the field of running drivers in 19th.
You just didn't want to say Bryce Rivera in 20th,
Well,
but I've got you. So
yeah, that just kind of worked out naturally.
I've got you back.
De Guevara,
if that's not perfect, that is close enough to not be like a total joke.
And if he's a top running driver or a regular driver, I'll have to learn it eventually, even if not today. But that's the one to go signal right there, and we'll get doubled up, stacked up, ready to go racing. 6 laps to go. I believe they have lane choice, and Horton using the inside lane. Remember, he got the lead from the outside, and can Keck replicate that? Well, it's going to be difficult, and you know he's going to give it his all.
I think we've heard on the chat from Dylan Winters, quote, things are going to get a little aggressive. That would be an understatement. Who wants to take home the first win of the season more? You're going to have to earn it. Here we go. Let's go green.
Green flag in the air. The jump definitely goes to the 42. And now the question is, will Rhew get to the inside of Keck for the second spot? That would be very clutch for Horton, but no. And here comes Keck to the inside through 3 and 4, gets the run, washes up the track, gets a little bit loose, keeps position, gets to the inside, still thought he was going to drop back in line, stays side by side. Rhew and Freed just stalking the prey.
I think that 88 and 10 are only going to truly get involved to test opportunity, but almost that opportunity opened up itself there for the 88. The 88 has been fast on the short runs, and this is exactly the sort of run he'll want. Down the bottom, I think both cars are giving a little bit of space for an opportunistic driver to get in there, although you probably don't want to wreck the field to win your first race of the season either. It remains single file for now, and the laps run out. You have a minute to win it here, and Keck is finding a way in, but I'm still noticing Horton just getting a little bit high off the bottom.
Again, it's a trust factor that comes in. Drivers that may not have that camaraderie with each other, they don't know how aggressive certain drivers will be in the moment, but we'll see what happens. 2 laps to go. Looks like the 19 trying to get the run, running the exact same line as Horton, and trying to stalk the run, get the run. He's going to need to make it happen. Only a half mile to go.
There is space on the bottom, but Keck doesn't successfully take it. He has one more chance now to get down below. It's not going to happen in turn 1 and 2. And if there isn't a big send here, he's going to give this one up to Horton. He does get that car low enough. He touches the apron, and that's not going to be enough momentum on the clear. So that's Chris Horton with the checkered flag.
Yeah, I got to give Keck credit. He drove it on in there, gave it everything he had, but did it clean, didn't take him out, didn't go above his driving level there. But Chris Horton, a familiar name here in eCAR, gets the win. All those laps led for Keck, go for naught. Led about 3/4 of the event, but didn't lead the right laps. Horton took care of that, and as they come onto the front straight away, I'm sure he'll have some celebratory activities to do. 19 just drives it into the inside wall. Actually, no, he's going to be... Oh, there it goes. I say some of these late model guys, they won't do donuts because they want to preserve the engine. You know, not the same budgets as the Cup guys, but he's going to burn it on down.
What a good, clean start to this league. That racing's respectful. That racing was close. You still didn't know what was going to happen, and that's sort of the way you want to start a season when you're reviving a series, for sure.
Absolutely looking forward to what's to come, but let's summarize what happened today. Horton getting the win by a final margin of just under 1/100th of a second. Keck with the second, Nathan Rhew in third, Jack Freed in fourth, Dave Bushiner in the fifth spot, Stephen Rex, Brent Meckes, then we have Jack McKee, Jeff Williams, and Dylan Winters, our top 10.
Our bottom 10 makes Colt Huff, who dropped some distance over the course of that race. Travis Sokup ahead of John Gutekunst, Spencer Teal, Jonathan Golden, Eric Hudson, Chris Norris, Scott Mayhew, Brad Carpenter, and Bryce De Guevara to not finish.
Aaron Harden, technically 21st, didn't take any time here today, but let's see if we can gather up some of these drivers for a little bit of a post-race show. Looks like well, that's a good sign for a new league there, Howie, is when they get to the booth for you and save you the trouble of having to sift on through. So we'll head right to Victory Lane and find Chris Horton. Chris, so familiar place for you. Haven't seen you a little over a year, and when I saw you last, you were winning races, and you start off the resurgence here in Victory Lane. It wasn't an easy move getting by Keck on the outside, but talk about how you made that pass stick.
Yeah, we were able to get by him on that restart there. Probably would have never gotten by him if it wasn't for that restart there, but we were able to get around him and just keep on getting it. And I was just way too loose, and he was a lot better of a car than I had all night long.
Now, I know when it comes to these, a series reboot, new drivers you may not have raced against, at least in the league anyways, did you kind of know how aggressive or not Keck would have been there? You know, some drivers would have set it on in there on the white flag dive, and he sent it on in there, but did so respectfully. Did you kind of know what his limit would be, or were you just praying he didn't go overkill?
No, I knew he wouldn't do anything too crazy. I expected him to throw it in there, but I knew he wasn't going to wreck me. We race together every week.
Well, that's good. So that's good stuff to hear. Next week, a little bit longer of a race at 200 laps at Langley. What's your confidence level in there to go back to back?
We've been running SAR a lot, so luckily, I don't know how long ago it was, like a month or two ago, we got to do that. Same race pretty much, just different league. So we got a little bit of practice with the 200 lap races.
All right, so we'll see what you can do, man. Starting off strong here today. Any final words before we let you go?
I just got to thank y'all for broadcasting. It's nice to have this series back broadcasted, and got to thank the league for putting all this on.
All right, absolutely, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Congrats.
Thank you.
Now, Howie will catch up with second place. Led a bunch of laps here today, but we'll have to settle for second. We got William Keck.
Surprise, motherfucker. How's it going?
I hope that auto-join noise didn't come out on stream. William Keck stuck behind Horton for a lot of that race. Led a lot, but couldn't get quite by. What was passing really like on this track, and what worked and what didn't?
It's like it starts on the bottom, and then that top groove starts to come in, and it's really hard to make moves when they go up there. And I think you guys saw, like, Chris, even when he was out in front, he was still going to run the top groove, because it's hard to get underneath somebody and generate a run when that top groove is so dominant.
Top dominant around here. It seemed as if it got over the race went on. I wasn't too sure of it earlier. By the end, I was totally convinced. Very, very clean outing for the league on the first week. Which tracks are you looking forward to on the way?
I think I'm looking forward to Linear. I really like that track. I think it races really good. The top doesn't dominate and the bottom doesn't dominate. You can really have some good racing there and have a lot of side-by-side action.
All right, it's a good start to a league, and it was a great race for you to bring to us. Any other words or shout-outs?
I gotta thank Chris and Nathan. They help us. They help me out a lot. I think Dylan, he puts on this amazing league. I gotta thank eWraps. They make some great wraps. Keck Customs, Caudal Chassis. Everybody that participates in this, it's a lot of fun.
Good to speak to you. Good to see you race, and looking forward to good results in the future.
All right, man.
And that'll leave us with our first place driver, Nathan Rhew.
All right, Nathan, third place here on the day. You started third, you finished third, so I guess we could say you did absolutely nothing here today, but of course not the case. You seem to be stalking those two in front of you. Had some moves for second, couldn't clear. Just kind of summarize how your race went for us.
Just proud of the set tonight. The car ran really good. The car handled great. We just liked a little bit of speed and got a little snug in the late part of the run on entry and just kind of hurt our exit. But we were right there. We were kind of riding and felt like, if this goes green, we got something. But those heat cycles just felt like it tightened me up a little much on entry. But all in all, can't complain because the car handled great. Did what I wanted to do. We just needed a little bit more tonight.
Yeah, it seemed like this place didn't help necessarily with the passing. You can kind of go infinitely side by side. We saw Horton and Keck do it for laps on laps, and you were just sitting there. Were you kind of licking your chops, saying, all right, here's my chance, maybe I can pounce, or were you trying to figure out what lane was going to persevere? It seemed like you were stuck behind them for, felt like 20 laps side by side.
Yeah, this track is hard to pass. There's a lot of bumps out there you got to navigate just right. But yeah, when they were side by side, I was just like, just don't burn the tires up. We can't go anywhere, so just don't burn the tires up. Just run pace, stay here. If something happens, be able to miss it, but just stay right there and don't burn our stuff up was the goal. And I felt like it was going to work out, but I think we just had a few too many cautions because, man, we were feeling really good on that long run. We got to second and got behind Keck there and just felt really good. But at the end of the day, just like I said, a little tight, and we'll work on that, see what we can come up with, see if we can get that a little freer on entry, stay there next week.
Yeah, next week we go back to a bull ring here from the little bit bigger half-mile track, so we'll see what you can do at Langley. Any final words before we let you go?
Just thank PTR TV for coming out, eWraps, eCAR, everybody that, puts this on. It's fun. I'm glad it's back. eCAR is a great place to race. A lot of good, clean racing. I think we had that pretty good tonight. So thank everybody that puts all this together.
Absolutely, my friend. We'll catch you soon. Good run.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, so that'll be a show here today at Kern County. Not too many cautions. I think we summarized ourselves out, Howie, at 3, which for a short track series, not too bad. And thanks for filling in here today for us. Any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show?
Might have to keep an eye on some of the rest of this because it was a lot of fun and it was a very, very, very talented field. I mean, some people think short tracks are the way up to bigger things, but there's a reason these things will always be around. Those cars get close, those cars get competitive, and it's good to have a really, really, really good field for them.
Absolutely glad that this race did go pretty well, and make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff here if you have not already done so. Stay tuned for our next broadcast. We will be live on Sunday at the Roval for the Triple Bypass Series, and we'll have some more Triple Bypass elbows out and some eCAR next week. It'll be a busy time here on PTR TV. Don't want to miss any of the action. But that'll be Corey and Howie signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.